Hello, everyone. Hi, it's Laura West with the Center for Joyful Business at joyfulbusiness.com. Welcome to the Joyful Business Live Show. So I thought this summer I would do some fun shows that are, that will help you with growing, expanding, loving, nurturing, enjoying, and reaping the benefits of having your own joyful business. So welcome everyone. I see everybody's starting to join us. So glad that you are here on this Friday. At least it's Friday afternoon where I am. I know everybody's all over the world, people who are going to be joining us today. Thanks for the love hearts. Thank you. Melinda, we missed you at the Pop-Up Success Cafe this morning. So I know you were going to drive from Birmingham, but a lot of people mentioned you and said that they were sorry that you weren't able to make it, that your car was acting up. So welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment. I'm going to double check, make sure everybody is approved who wanted to join in. We had a lot of people joining the Big Ripples group at the last minute. So so glad you are here. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about creativity in business and how to use your creativity in your business. And I'm going to talk more about it in just a minute. First of all, if you are not on my email list, I would love for you to go over to joyfulbusiness.com and sign up. You get a free gift, which is the Daily Action Planner, and you get to see how I use creativity in creating a tool for a daily action plan, like a to-do list, daily to-do list. So that is a good one to have if you don't have that. Second of all, I just want to say hello to people that I haven't met yet. So I know a lot of you who are joining us I haven't met yet, or if you're going to be listening in or watching later. And just a little bit about me so that you know where I've come from and how I got here, because I think this is particularly important when you're talking about creativity, because I think a lot of people think or make assumptions that, you know, you were born out of the womb being super creative, and that isn't exactly how it works. You know, some people do have that artistic flair. I would say I have creativity in me, but a lot of it was latent. And a lot of it was scared out of me, you know, that it was, you know, I couldn't go out of my, it wasn't even my comfort zone. Some of it was my comfort zone. A lot of it was other people's comfort zones. When I got into corporate, it was the corporate comfort zone. So I come from corporate America. I've been a business coach for 18 years, almost 19 now. And before that, I was a VP of marketing for a shopping center company. I started out in marketing actually in high school, so very much business oriented. Although I love the marketing because it felt like I could get into a little bit of creativity there, even though I'm not sure that's what I would have said at the time. And went into newspaper advertising, got into shopping centers, and then worked my way up and around the country, going into corporate, creating big corporate programs, everything from Santa's Arrival to $1 million grand openings to corporate programs that we would roll out across the country in all these different malls. So there was a lot of creativity there. It just looked a lot of different, and it was very kind of contained in what was allowed. When I started my own business back in 2001, part of my passion was that I really wanted, that I knew there was a place for joy and happiness in business, and that when you were joyful, you know, when you felt good at work, studies show, but even you know this intuitively, when you feel good, you do good, right? You are more likely to pick up the phone. You are more likely to write that article. You're more likely to do a Facebook Live, right? You're feeling more confident, more innovative, more creative. Studies show that that is so true. So cultivating your joy and your happiness, what makes you feel good, actually helps cultivate your creativity. And then the more you are creative, actually creativity attracts more creativity. So it's whether you're doing something creative for yourself, it'll expand out and you'll start getting more creative ideas in every part of your life and your business. So we're going to talk more about that today. You know, the number one thing when people describe me, they usually say I'm creative. And a lot of people will say, you're so creative. And then there's like this pause. And the pause, either they say it, and they go ahead and say it, or they don't say it. But the pause is, and I'm not. You're so creative, and I'm not. Or I can't do what you do. What I know for sure, Oprah and I are buds on this, is that everyone is creative. Okay, everyone is creative. It just looks really different for each person. And some of us can tap into it more easily, maybe quicker or more easily. So that's why I wanted to do this one today, is to show you all different types of ways that you can be creative. And it's going to look different for every business that's out there and for every different person, because you each are so unique and different. And I know some of you might suspect that you're creative, but you might feel like it's really strangled, or that you're held back from all the mind chatter. Years ago, when somebody said, what is the box? You know, this is the box that you're supposed to be in, and you're not supposed to do that. When I was in corporate, my box was professionalism. So even though I was doing Santa's arrival parade and grand openings and Christmas decor and corporate signage and things like that, and there was some creativity to it, it was very much within a box and within all of our corporate identity package and all sorts of things like that. When I got into my own business, I was really passionate about that creative expression and joy. And I knew there was a place for it, but I kept bumping up against my own barriers, right? My own barriers, my own limiting beliefs that said, yeah, but if you go too far, you're gonna move out of being professional, and people are gonna think that it's not, doesn't have value, you know, that it's insignificant, that it's silly. And so, you know, I had to spend a lot of years opening up that kind of portal, if you will, into more creativity by expanding my beliefs and shedding some old beliefs and embracing some new beliefs. And we'll talk about that on some other calls, some of those beliefs. But what I'm going to do today is, this is going to be like a big giant show and tell. And so I'm going to show you all different ways that I have used creativity. Some of my clients have used creativity in their businesses. And what I really want you to do is notice, just be with the ideas, okay? And let them inform your business and your ideas, and say, how could I apply that idea? And if you see something really cool, then don't let yourself go into overwhelm or jealous or something like that. Just that means if it's alive in you, that means it's something that is possible for you. And so, you know, really just capture the idea, and then you can come back on other videos and other shows that I'll do, and we'll talk about how do you get that into action? How do you do that for your particular business? But it's going to look different because we all have all sorts of different businesses here. What I'm hoping to do, my intention is to really stimulate your creative ideas, get you into possibilities, maybe thinking differently, and realizing, oh yeah, I could do that too for my business. So I'm going to share 6 different ways that you can use creativity in your business. I'm going to share what those 6 ways are, but I'm going to go through them one by one and show examples. Okay, so don't worry if you don't get these all down. So the very first way is kind of what people immediately go to when you say creativity in business. They think artistic, and immediately they think you have to be artistic. That is one way, okay, just one of 6, all right? The second one is your personal creative approach to life and business. And so that means you use creativity in your day, all right? So your clients might not see it, but you use creativity to stimulate ideas, perspective shifts, maybe to get your energy up so that you're in that joyful energy, which is, to me, joy is a productivity tool. So when you're feeling joy, all things are possible. All right. The third one is when you add creativity plus your expertise, then you can develop creative solutions for your clients. So I know a lot of you are interested in that. The fourth one is you can create fun, creative tools for your clients for some of the things they might do over and over again. The fifth one is use creativity to create what I call a tribal culture. Okay, so that's when you're creating your community, gathering your tribe, and creating a community around that. And then the last one is using your creativity for client enchantment so that your clients are delighted and have extraordinary experiences. So I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm going to dive in. And what I would love for you all to do, those who are here, is please make comments about what, how this, hold on, I'm just checking my Facebook to make sure everybody has been added. I see a couple people wanting to join. Please add things to the chat. When you see a really good idea, then please share that, because I love to have some feedback. Either do a bunch of hearts or likes, capture the idea on the chat, you know, things like that. So I'd love to have some interaction with that. And then I am just confirming a couple people are wanting to join to make sure that they can get in. Take my sip of water because we're going to dive in. I hope you have your markers and lots of journal paper to, you know, in front of you. I feel like I'm getting ready to run a race, actually, because I have so much to share with you. All right. So the first area where you can use your creativity, and that's artistically, okay? So this is not for everybody, it's for some people. I never thought that was for me, and I have been surprised at how I've started the more that I cultivate my own creativity and being an artist, that the more I am an artist and the more it shows up. So doing things like creating, you know, paintings and drawings, mixed media collage, basket weaving, you know, cupcakes, you know, whatever it is that you're creating, and doing something that's artistic, that takes a skill, you know, where you're using your talent and your expertise. A lot of people use our artistic talents for, in a different way, for like healing and transformation. And so we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But this is an example of how do you use your creativity to, and you can use it in all sorts of ways that is just fun. And to me, fun is like a beautiful cupcake that impacts people's lives, right? So however you're using your creativity artistically, you are making somebody's life better, either more fun or funny or joyful or beautiful or something like that, or useful. And that's really important as well. We were just at the Pop-Up Success Cafe this morning that I had here in Atlanta, and I think Crystal is here with us, Crystal Fleischman. She is an artist, and she was there at the event, the gathering today, this morning, and she makes this really great, she does canvases, things like that, but she also does alcohol ink tiles that she puts in wooden boxes. And then you open this wooden box, it has a really pretty, beautiful, alcohol inks are really vivid and bright, and so beautiful pictures of woodland areas and flowers and trees and hummingbirds and frogs and things like that. And then you open up the box, and then inside she has 32 messages that are quotes. And so we all took a turn and pulled a quote this morning, and you know what, it was, that gift was so heartfelt of being able to open that quote in the box. And so she sells those gift boxes for people to give for graduation gifts and weddings and friends and things like that. So that's a way of combining your creative, you know, your artistry in that way. I know Melinda Thomas here, who's here today over in Alabama. She started out doing these fun little birds that are just these cute little fluffy birds that sit on branches and talk to each other. And I forgot what their names are. You can put that in the chat box, Melinda, if you don't mind. And they just say funny things to each other. And they're so cute. And then she started making some cards from them, and I think a canvas bag or some different types of things from them. So you can go in that direction, right? One of the things that I did after the big recession, right? The big recession and business changed, my business changed. My husband lost his job. Like we had we just had everything. You know, we had this big giant house that no longer held its value. You know, we were underwater. I mean, almost underwater. I can't remember. Anyways, it wasn't pretty. I started going more into my creativity because I needed a stress reliever. And so I started doing art journaling and painting and just anything that could soothe my soul, right? Soothe my nervous system, which I think is part of what any sort of creative hobby can do. And then I took a course on how to draw stick figures, how to draw on big wall murals. And so I started creating, it was called graphic recording. And so I started doing these big giant wall murals. I don't have any out, they're all in storage. But when a keynote speaker would speak, I would be on the side of the room with like an 8-foot giant piece of paper with markers, and I would capture with words and doodles, what I call info doodles, and I would capture all their sound bites and the key pieces. And then for every speaker, we would have a different giant mural all over the conference room, and people were just in awe of those. It moved them and reinforced everything that the speaker was saying. So those info doodle murals were a way of, I started doing them for free, and then I started getting paid for it, started traveling across the country. You know, people would pay me for that. I started doing it for people's webinars. It was a real creative way of putting what felt like my 12-year-old self doing doodles. And but people they fall in love with your artistry in that way. Now I just do that for myself. I don't do that for other people just because I've had to decide what to say yes to, what to say no to. One of my clients, George Herrick, started out with a passion project of creating cairns. And cairns are, for those of you who don't know, are when you stack rocks. You know, you've always seen like those Zen meditation stack of rocks on top of each other. And he would go down to the beach and coast to Connecticut, and or in the woods, and he would make cairns. And then he started taking pictures of them and putting them on Facebook. Well, now he's put them on Facebook every day, and I think he's well into his 4 years, and that's like, I don't know, he's on like 1,600 and something cairn, and he writes a meditation or some sort of cool awareness or aha that he's had. And so that was a way he took his passion and started developing this passion project. From there, he is putting them on his blog, and then he's writing a book that's going to feature meditations in the cairns. All of that led to his meditation started changing, because last year he got cancer. And so his meditation started changing. He started really using this as a way to start healing. And that's actually what his book is going to be about. That led to him getting an art show. He's an artist as well. And he did a whole art show with something like 35 different canvases, and it's called Angels in the Dark. And it was canvases that were about his healing journey through cancer. So you can just see the way that you use your artistry, your creativity, your life experiences in all these different types of ways. One of my favorite authors, creative beings, is Austin Kleon, Kleon. And he started out doing something a little bit different. He started out, again, he had this idea, and he's like, well, what if anyway, I don't know what his what if was, but he started with a newspaper, a page of newspaper, and he would black out all the words on the newspaper except for a few words. And then when you would read these random words on the page, it would be a poem. And it was really, I mean, just super creative, right? And he did this, started doing it every day. You can see that there's some mastery ideas in here about doing it every day. Just checking the Facebook feed here. People love him. Yes, a lot of people love Austin Kleon. He went on to write 2 really cool books. One is Show Your Work, and another one is Steal Like an Artist. Those are some of my favorite simple, cool books that really stimulate your creativity. And then he's gone on, and now he does talks, and he works with corporations around the world, and he's got these great columns and stuff like that. So you never know where this creative idea that you have, that you might do it for a release, like the cairns or the blackout poetry, how that might lead somewhere. So part of what I want to recommend is, even if you just do it for yourself and it's a stress reliever, then that is valuable. So that's what I'm going to talk about next. The second way to use your creativity is as a personal creative approach to life and business. Excuse me. You can just use your creativity to create a more beautiful, sacred, delightful life around you, whether it's with your environment, whether it's the way that you do the place setting for dinner or for breakfast, or the way that you have your cup of tea. I have all these tea mugs, and it's part of my ritual to have tea in one of these mugs. It's part of the creative experience that I create for myself. So you can use your creativity in that way. Bringing in flowers. I often post pictures of flowers. I love to have fresh flowers in my office and in my home. Having hummingbird feeders, stones, some of my favorite stones. I always have different stones. This is amethyst. I keep this one on my desk, and that reminds me to, connect to the bigger spiritual channel and let it come through me and through me out to you. And then one of my favorite stones is this carnelian, which is, I just love it. It has such a heft to it, and it's smooth, and it's just beautiful orange, and just really, this is, even though it's so heavy, I will often hold this when I need some grounding, and I want to move forward in my creativity, because carnelian's about creativity, but it also has just the smoothness, the coolness of it, and the heft of it, the weight of it, really helps ground me as well in my creativity. All right, so doing things like, if stones or flowers or fairy lights move you, like my fairy lights, if they do something for you, be willing to take some time and make sure you bring that into your day. Okay, and for you, it might, each of you, it's going to look different. Right now I have, just thinking of essential oils, I have cedarwood and elevation, which is a doTERRA oil that has some like lemon, and it makes you feel more joyful. And I have that diffusing throughout my office. And I keep little roller essential oils. This one is passion. This one smells like cinnamon, and I just love cinnamon. I'm one of those ones who go in the grocery store in October and the cinnamon brooms are all out, and people are like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. And I'm like, yes. So I love that. So, sense of smell, your sight, using all the different senses. That is a way of adding creativity to your life. You can also use your creativity, like be willing to, if having a favorite pen or having certain markers or sticky notes or journals makes you feel more abundant, makes you feel more creative, then you want to bring those creative tools into your life. So use be willing to feed your creativity in that way. Another way that I use my creativity a lot is through oracle cards. And so I have one here. This is one of my favorite decks called Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. My card for today is the High Lady of Love and Compassion. And she is all about reverence, kindness, and consideration. And so again, that's not artistry, right? We're talking about a creative approach to life. So I will often pick a card before a webinar and say, okay, what do I need to know for me to have this really successful webinar? And the Lady of Love, the High Lady of Love and Compassion came up. And so that has me think about it in a little bit different way. It gives me a perspective shift. I often use these with my clients too. Yesterday or the other day, Tuesday I think it was, I used Earth Magic cards, and we pulled, even though my client was on the phone and she was, I think you're even here, Barb, across, she's in Denver, she's on the phone, she can't see the card, but I have a way of, I'll pull the cards out, she tells me when I'm at her card, and we pulled the Shaman card, which was all about ancient healing wisdom, which was the absolute perfect card for her. I describe it, I take a picture of it, I'll send it to her. And what that does is I'll read the card, and then she tells me what she thinks about it and how does that relate to where she's at today. And it always takes us to a different place, like a deeper place, deeper and richer. So there's all sorts of ways that you can use things like that. You can have somebody just look out the window and share things. I put up my hummingbird feeder in my deck, I can see out the window, but the hummingbirds will often just float right by my window when I'm talking to a client, and hummingbirds are a sign of joy. And so I always mention that to my clients and bring that into the creative, coaching conversation. All right. What else? I have so many goodies around here that I have lined up for you. I also have my own cards. These are called Joy Shift cards. You can see that. And I did these years ago. And we'll pull one. This one says, easy steps. Whoops. You can see that. So they're kind of shiny. Easy steps are always right in front of you. And so I will bring these to client retreats. I brought them to the Pop-Up Success Cafe this morning. And just by, again, having a different way of thinking about things, it brings the creativity into the business. And it creates a different conversation, a different connection. And it becomes part of the brand, right? When you use different tools or create these experiences for your clients, it becomes part of the brand, of the experience of what you're creating for people. All right, let me just double check over here before we go further. Yes, Barb, yes, she got to see the hummingbird yesterday out the window. And so here's the thing, no matter what your creative outlet is, you don't have to take that creative outlet and put it into your business. You don't have to do that. There's lots of ways that you can use creativity just to amp up your own energy or shift your energy. So one of the ways that I do that is I have a really big art journal. I forgot it was on that side. And I use, this one is actually called Les Cesspool. And this is my big giant journal that I start out with a page. Oh, here's a good example where I throw down some paint. That is really relaxing in itself. And then I just scribble write. And so I will write whatever is frustrating me, whatever is, if I'm in fear, if I'm in doubt, if I'm in worry, if I'm just overwhelmed, if I've got a lot to do, if I feel pissy at something in the moment, and I will just scribble write, really fast and really big, and you can't really see it, but I go over and over and over it. And then I turn it into, some sort of cool page, something. These are just really super simple ones. Those are things that I can do like in between coaching calls, when you get that email you weren't expecting in between coaching calls. It's a way to shift my energy. It's a way to have a release. It's a way to release stress. Sometimes I make pretty pages. This one is, it says abundance on tap, and it has a jug of lemonade. And again, it was scribble writing underneath of that, to kind of release things. So that's a way of using kind of art journaling yourself. One of my clients, Ken, he just had a retreat here in Atlanta, and one of the things we talked about was his morning rituals. How does he start his day? And we were talking about productivity and organizing and systems, but also how does he start his day? And we went through his day up to a point where, part of his morning ritual is he's going to take out his guitar and just strum for a few minutes, because that really grounds him, gets him really present in his body, and it's a really beautiful way for him to start the day. So doing things like that, morning pages, writing your morning pages. I know some of you are big fans of your morning pages, just journaling in the morning or writing a gratitude list, either in the morning or in the evening. Those are great ways to use your creativity. Kind of along those lines, I have another client, her name is Elaine, and she's here in Atlanta, and she studied art in college, kind of left that a bit, became a health coach. She's an executive facilitator with this big global company. And in 2004, her son died through suicide. And, she had, obviously her and her husband went through lots of healing around that and everything. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, she formed a profit. She was really moved to form a nonprofit. And then part of what she's doing, she's now my client, is that we're creating a facilitation program for other facilitators that uses art for moms who have been impacted by suicide in their family, either suicide or overdose. And part of her program that she's doing, like a train the trainer type of thing, is kind of like a 9-week program that also is going to include journaling and art in there. So again, she used to do art and did like, clay and pottery and big installation type things. And now she's bringing it into her programs as a way of bringing it in to help heal. All right. Let me just check in. I'm kind of looking to see if anybody has any comments. So thank you. I really appreciate people making comments in the group. Let me know when you really like some of these ideas. Okay, so the third way you can use creativity in your business is creativity plus your expertise, and that's in developing creative solutions for your clients. So one of those is, some of you are familiar with this, is the Joyful Business Plan. Let me show you that, right? This was my way of blending creativity with something that was a problem for my clients, right? They all wanted to have a business plan. They all either had no idea how to do a plan, they felt overwhelmed, they weren't stimulated by Excel spreadsheets, but they, might like to do things like a mind map, right? So a lot of these are, let me just show you, are different types of mind maps, see it without the glare, for walking through your marketing plan in a creative, fun, and easy way, where you kind of fill in the blanks. This is about your beacon marketing strategy. And so I use my creative, the way I like to think, which is with markers and mind maps and things like that, and brought that to the business plan and created this more right brain type of business plan that's easy for people to access. And there was a whole group of people who are just loving having a different way of creating a business plan. And that actually helps them do it because I brought this different way of doing a business plan. Another idea with that is, all of us, my client, what I notice is all my clients in particular, and of course me, all these things are always things that were born through me because of something I went through to begin with. But we all get blocks, we get stuck, we get overwhelmed. And so I did a series a few years ago where there was creative mindset tools that helped people, kind of process and move through where they were getting stuck. That's actually where the one I was talking about, the Les Cesspool, where you do the scribble writing and get all your stress out, and then you paint over it, and then you write something positive on the front of it. That was one of the modules. And, I probably had 1,000 people who downloaded, bought those modules. So again, I'm trying to give you different ways of thinking about how can I use my creativity, your creativity, in different creative ways to help your clients. One of my clients who was in Fun and Fabulous Follow-Up, Michelle Eisenberg, she does doTERRA oils, and she's created this oil camp that is really extraordinary, and it's 2 weeks of her and other coaches that she knows that use the doTERRA oils, and they do these videos every single day showing you all the creative ways that each of these people use their doTERRA oils, with bath salts and making room scents and room sprays and sanitizers and all sorts of different ways that you can use them in your food and stuff like that. I had bought a set of the doTERRA oils, and then I got them, and I was a little bit like, okay. I opened all of them, smelled them, and I was like, great, now what do I do with them? And her oil camp was this really creative, fun way that every day I learned how to use a different oil. And it made it fun and easy, and it felt very real and authentic. So that was a way that really shifted and changed it. And I'm so in love with my friend Michelle because I think she's so creative and she makes a fun experience of it that I recommend her to everybody. So now my clients are starting to use the oils in all these different ways as well. Yeah, I see some comments here. People are saying different ways that some people have been asking. Brenda, who's highly creative, has been asking people to design a journal for them. Yes, really be thinking about what are the different ways that you can use these. So I'm sharing different ways that I use it, and don't get overwhelmed. Just write down the ideas, and you get to come back to it and see how you might be able to use it in your business. Another thing that I do is I have, some people call them VIP days, right? That's kind of the standard people call them VIP days. So I always have to name things something creative because that's just part of my brand, right? And so I call them a creative business retreat. That's what my clients do. They come in for a full day and sometimes a day and a half. And we work on their business plan, create their 12-month plan, get clear about their clients, their products, their programs, their offers, where they're stuck, what really authentic, bold, creative ways are they going to market. And what we do is we create an art project throughout the day. And so we create things like different types of layered collage, super easy types of things, but there's lots of different layers on these. And we take a break in between doing things where we're in our head a little more, and then we put something down on the canvas. And I have been amazed at how people don't get so overwhelmed, going through the whole day. We are able to access our creativity more and deeper. And of course, there are great opportunities for coaching when you're doing anything creative. One of the things that I created with one of my clients, I think this was with George, and this is Live My Big Ripples Dream. And this came out of his retreat, but I created this and I was so moved by the idea that I'd had that I hadn't really expressed about helping people create more big ripples in the world. And then you can probably guess what happened. So I came back home and I started this Big Ripples group. And so that's how this was born, was from somebody else's retreat. We were doing art, and that's how that happened. Yeah, it's just it's really extraordinary what you get access to. And I have been in retreats where we have done things like smashed boards, with our bare hands. We've done drumming. I was at one this spring where we went to a zoo. We saw lemurs, and I got to hold, lemurs kind of held us. We didn't get to hold them, and sloths. It was all in, it's all these types of ways. And that's something that I talk about, right? And it's really creative, and it has us talk about things in a different way. So there's all different types of ways that you can incorporate creativity. All right. Welcome, welcome. I see more people joining us. All right, so number 4, how are we doing on time? Okay, number 4, the fourth way that you can use creativity in your business is creating fun tools, right? Using creativity plus your expertise and creating fun tools. So one of the things that I do is I have a monthly membership program called the Joyful Business Studio. You can go to joyfulbusinessstudio.com, find out about it. If you're interested, if you like the stuff that you're hearing here, you're going to love the stuff in the studio. But I teach about marketing and mindset. A lot of other business coaches teach about marketing and mindset, right? But I do it really differently, right? I bring this creative approach, this creative flair. This month I talked about elegant enrollment. So I'm really talking about sales, right? How to have a sales conversation. But I bring my own values, my own creative approach to it. And to me, it's about elegant enrollment. And part of it is I'm bringing my part, but I'm also listening to what my clients need. And my clients get stuck quite often around sales conversations. So I'm like, how can I bring my unique creative approach to finding side doors into things that are hard for my clients, and what are they wanting? So they're wanting to do things like sales. And so I created the Elegant Enrollment Program. So again, think about your own business. What are some things that might seem like ordinary concepts, ordinary problems that your clients have, but you have your own passions and fascinations and creativity, and how can you bring those two together? Right? So, and I do things in the studio, like special bonuses. Here's an example. So I have this bonus that I created, which is a permission slip, right? This permission slip says, my successful future self grants my present day self full permission to, and then you fill in the blanks. And one of them is, on mine is, if you can see it, play on Facebook Live, do more art journaling every day, take some days off in the summer and just play, create a new rich mastermind and test the idea out. And then it's signed from your future self, who loves you and knows your full potential. So this fits with my clients, right? Because I have a lot of coaches. Everybody is kind of creative, or they want a creative approach, and so they get really tickled with these types of bonuses. I did another bonus. I don't know if you can see this one's a little bit darker, but this is scripting for abundance. And so it's a journal sheet where I did a meditation. They got an audio meditation about getting into the universal abundance current, which is something I talk about, and really getting in touch with their abundance flow. And then scripting, what does abundance look like, for this year? And then I provided them with a simple journal sheet. So this journal sheet, let me see if, no, you can't see it, but I mean, it's just you can see it here. It really is just a headline and a little bit of copy, and then it's a blank piece of paper that just has a pretty background. So it's very simple to do. So just think about, what are the things that your clients need to write down? Can you create a checklist? Can you create something tangible from it? I do a program, a lot of you are in it, called Fun and Fabulous Follow-Up, where you follow up and reach out to 3 people every day for 30 days. And one of the tools that, this one's hard to see, is, if you can see that, yeah, there we go. It's a bubble sheet. It literally has 30 bubbles on it, right? There isn't anything super artistic or brain science like around this, other than actually the brain science is people love to track things, and they get this and they see this bubble sheet and they hear me say bubble sheet, they think it's funny, right? And then when there's laughter and there's joy, we're more likely to feel confident and do things, right? And then I give them this fun little tracking sheet, and people love to track and check off things. It's habitual, we can't help ourselves. So finding ways that you can do fun bubble sheets in your business or check things off. What permission slip do your clients need for them to be successful? These are just really super easy ways to give them extras so they feel special. We're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about enchanting your clients. Joy flow sightings. This is something, I'm trying to figure out how we do this without the light. There we go. Joy flow sightings. And this is something I talk about every Friday. You guys know, you're in the Big Ripples group. I'm like, it's Friday. What are your joy flow sightings for the week? Where's the joy flowing? Where are signs of success, abundance, synchronicities? What's working in your life? And I talk about it all the time. In the Joyful Business Studio, that's how we start off our calls, is people sharing their joy flow sightings. So I created a simple sheet for that so that my clients can track that. My private clients get a memo pad that says joy flow sightings. The universe is conspiring for my well-being, and they write down each day, how's the universe conspiring for the well-being? Where's the joy flowing? These are little extras that make my clients feel special, right? And reinforce the principles that I want them to get. All right, checking in here. Welcome to people who have joined. Please, again, I know we're going through lots of different ideas, and so please make notes if there are things that are really inspiring you, or you're getting some ideas for your own business. Please, I hope that you will, sorry, I was just seeing if anybody else needed to be let in. I hope that you'll make some comments here. So yes, and I appreciate all the little smiley faces and laughter and hearts. All right. So another example of bringing your creativity and expertise together is I'm coming out with a new membership program this summer, towards the end of the summer. It's called Creative Coaching Tools. So it started with noticing a problem for my clients, right? I work with a lot of coaches. And what I noticed with my clients were some of them were getting kind of bored, right? And they wish they were more creative. And they wish they were more creative. They needed like a little creative boost with their clients. What I also noticed is that a lot of coaching is very auditory, and things are written like, do this, do this, do this. And then it's very intuitive. So what they needed was something tangible. And so I started creating these coaching tools, which are like, this one is, if you can see, it's called a wisdom wheel. And then there's an exercise that goes with that. And here's one that's about daily love potions. So the membership that I'm creating is that every month you'll get a new creative coaching tool, and you'll get a video that tells you how to use it for yourself, a video that'll train you on how to use it with your client, and then all sorts of ways that you can use it in your marketing as well. And so again, that's a way that I bring my creative approach to business to problems that I was noticing with my clients, which are opportunities, right? All those problems that your clients have are opportunities for you to create products or programs. You can actually go to creativecoachingtools.com if you want to get some freebies and test them out and let me know how you like them, because I'd love to get feedback on the creative coaching tools and hear what you like about them and what works, what doesn't work. Okay. Let's see, I'm trying to cover all these different ways. I'm going to take a sip of water for a second. All right, we've got 2 more ways that I want to share about how to use your creativity in business. The 5th one is creating a tribal culture. Okay, this is like creating your tribe, right? And it could be, you could use the word community. It's more than a list. It really is more of a community or a tribe or culture. So if you think about a tribe and kind of the typical like Native American Indian tribe, they have a culture, they have customs, they have rituals, they have a language, they have shared values. You can think about different tribes that you're in, and it might be, religious, it might be from a country, it might be kind of your family tribe, my family tribe. There are things that are in our history, like having lots of cookouts all summer long together with all the cousins together and going to the beach with a giant tire inner tube, having crabs and steaming crabs out. And there's just certain things, then going to a grandma's house, every Christmas. There's certain things that we talk about, we don't talk about the way we talk about them and stuff like that. Certain stories that are handed down all through our family tribe. When I consider Big Ripples and is a tribe, right? Everybody has a common value around creating change in the world, making a positive difference in the world. And they also want to grow their business and do this meaningful work. So one of the things that you can do as you're creating your own tribe, and Facebook groups are really great for this, right? They're set up to create a group. But if you think about it like a tribe, the way to get people to really feel like they belong and feel ownership into this, more like a tribe rather than just a group, is that you start creating things that become common. So like a lexicon, like you all know that I talk about joy flow sightings every Friday. So whenever you see it, whether you post or not, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's her way of talking about gratitude. Oh yeah, this group is really positive. It reinforces it. But we have our own language where we talk about joy flow sightings. I talk about the universal abundance current with my clients. And so we talk about how to get into the flow, how to create flowmentum. We talk about a beacon marketing strategy. Instead of doing 100 different marketing strategies, pick one that is your beacon that you can send everybody to, and that becomes your beacon marketing strategy. So things like that, your tribe start recognizing the cool creative worksheets and the different tools. Those are things that people know me, but also feel like they're part of the tribe. Now, there's some people who just don't get it. They're like, why don't you just say gratitude, or they don't want the creative tools. So it's not for everybody, but the people it's for are like, oh my God, I love this stuff. I want to stay, I want more, I want to know the next thing, right? And then an important part of this is I listen. Creativity can show up, like the creative inspiration shows up in listening to the people in your tribe. What do they keep asking about? What are they talking about? What are they interested in? And then you can use your creativity to create solutions. All right, I'm gonna just check in if there's any other comments. Hello, hello, I see people joining us still. Yes, please put comments in here. I'd love to know, and we will have some time right at the end. I'm going to share one more way you can use creativity in your business, and then I'd love to hear what kinds of ideas are coming up for you. So if you can put those in the chat. If you're getting some ideas and inspiration in your business, I'd love to know those. So the last one I want to share with you is what I call client enchantment. And this is where, just think about that. How could you enchant your clients, right? That takes a creative approach, right? It's not just a regular doctor's office visit. Can you imagine if doctors were like, how could I enchant my clients when they show up? Or how could the dentist enchant their clients when they show up? And, sometimes they do little things like, I know there's this one doctor, when you're laying back on the table and you look up at the ceiling, there's a fun, positive poster in every room up on the ceiling, right? Somebody had to go out of their way to think about the client experience, right? And so that makes it really, and those little things matter. My son, my younger son, when he went to get his braces done, the whole place was set up for kids getting braces. And you got a t-shirt when you got there, and then there was a big video screen, and it would just loop around with pictures of all the kids who had braces with their t-shirt on vacation. So they would all go on all these places all over the country, all over the world, or in their backyard, have on the orthodontist t-shirt, and they were grinning with their big braces on, right? And they send a picture to the doctor, and I think or the dentist, and they got something else for it. Like they got another goodie for it, but they also got to be featured on that slide reel. Like what a fun, like when I first went there, it just felt fun, even though I was paying him like mega dollars. It took away the ease of that pain, right? I felt like, wow, this is a place, they care about their kids kind of thing. And you just saw all of these pictures of these grinning kids all over the world. All right. Client enchantment. I'm trying to think of a couple other things I wanted to share with you around that. So one of the things that I do is I'll do something like send out cards, right? And that is where you have a card, and send out cards is a way of doing it online, and you can do it automatically. You can send in your handwriting, which is what I did, if you can see that. But instead of just using the standard send out card kind of stuff, that didn't excite me very much. So I had signed up years ago, and I was like, I felt like it was just some rote kind of inspiration. They were just okay. For somebody who likes to put their creativity out, it didn't work for me. But what they do is that you can create your own cards one by one. So if I had a client, this is a client retreat I had with one of my clients, Tina, and then I wrote her a special note afterwards. And then I had this really great quote that I put on the back. So I was able to customize that card for her after the retreat. Here's another one that I did when I used some of my info doodles, and I put that on there and sent it to people after a retreat. I send out birthday cards that are customized with my info doodles, and I have my picture on the back of it. Here's one I did for Thanksgiving one year, where I sent this to my clients, and even though I'm doing business coaching, what I know is that they love to get these like eggs that are not eggs, they look like eggs, rocks that are hand-painted rocks. And so there's a recipe for how to do it, and then what can you do, and they're called gratitude stones, and it was perfect for Thanksgiving. And then we wrote down, what do you do with these gratitude stones? How do you put them all around? What's so cool about these cards is that it makes people smile, makes people remember you, and most of those cards they aren't going to throw away, right? They're going to pin them up on a board, put them on the refrigerator. They're not going to throw away a picture of that, picture of their retreat, or picture of them and I together. And so it again, it's a way of enchanting your clients. One of the ways that I do that is with my creative business retreat by the sea. So I have every year in October, I have a business retreat by the sea. And the last 6 years I've had it in Virginia Beach, which is where I grew up. And I just couldn't stand this. When I first started retreats, I couldn't stand the idea of doing a retreat in a brown windowless hotel room. I just couldn't do it. So I looked for really beautiful spaces, right? That's part of using your creativity, because the environment impacts that creativity. So finding beautiful environments. So I've done them in farmhouses, at botanical gardens. We have a cool retreat center south of the airport called Serenbe. I've done them in boutique hotels that usually have interesting rooms. And then I started renting this oceanfront house. And again, I know that I'm creating an experience and enchanting my clients when I do that. And I know that it matters to the transformational work that we do. If you want to know more about the Creative Business Retreat, you can go to, because we have 2 spots left in that for this October, you can check that out. Because if you're interested in leading retreats and you want to know how to create a creative space and you want to see a lot of these ideas in action, that is a great place to go, and you'll be infused with all this creative inspiration, that's for sure. Plus, you'll get a lot out of it for your own business. But you can go to joyfulbusiness.com/retreat by the sea. And you can get a lot of information there. And if you're interested, just let me know, because the price does go up June 30th. At the retreats, one of the things we do, again, I bring some art into it in all different ways. We create canvases. One time we created this little soul talk book. It did have a little ring in it, like a key ring, and I think I undid it. But they had to bring pictures of themselves. If you can see, there's a picture of myself. And then they had to say, and then they wrote affirmations. My path is uniquely my own. That was mine. And we created these cool little books. There's a picture of me with my cat. And we created these cool little books that we painted and put stickers on, and they had their pictures, and they love these things. It deepened the transformation that we had from the coaching and what we did throughout the retreat. So I always bring some sort of art project that's really simple that anybody can do into those experiences. All right, let's see. Wow, we did a lot, and we're coming up right at the top of the hour. So I would love if you would put in the comments, what are some creative ideas that are percolating for you? What are some ahas that you got? Maybe ways that you could enchant your clients, ways that you could come up with creative solutions, maybe some simple checklists or journal sheets or tools that you could create for your clients. Those would all be different possibilities. So many ways to use your creativity. Doesn't matter if you're an artist or not. If you're a guitar player, a baker, I know people who are doing quilting and they bring quilting into a retreat. I know, my client Ken, who plays the guitars and makes guitars, wants to bring that into a retreat. So there's so many ways of doing that. I hope you got stimulated, got lots of ideas. I would love to hear from you. Be sure to, if you're not on the list yet at Joyful Business, go to joyfulbusiness.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. You'll get a daily action planner, which is a to-do list. That's a creative approach to it, and you'll get lots of inspiration. That's what I hear from people who tell me that they get a lot of different emails and they get pretty overwhelmed with all the emails, but they always like to stay in mine because I really try to keep it fresh. I keep it honest, authentic, and they always get lots of creative ideas. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderfully beautiful creative weekend. All right, bye everybody.